I think we're live. One of us forgot that the Safari doesn't do YouTube Live. I have to use Chrome, and I forgot to do this in Chrome. So that my error got me about a minute or so up late here. All right, let me open up my text. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for November 1st. Wow, November 1st already. November 1st is the 305th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 306th in leap years, with 60 days remaining to the end of the year. It's coming up fast. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes and ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. We could take that part out because we don't have outtakes when we're live. Yeah. No outtakes, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Remember that you can share this video with others with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. And there's a link to the Day in History playlist in the show notes, and will also be one in an iCard up in the corner as soon as the video live is over and it renders. When the live's done, then the video renders, and then I can add an iCard. So, now, yesterday was All Hallows Eve, better known to many of us as Halloween. The eve of All Hallows Day, or All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day is a holy day of obligation for some, a national holiday for some. Also related to the Day of Innocence, the first day of Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos celebration. On November 1st of 1179, Philip II was crowned as King of France. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, painted by Michelangelo, was exhibited to the public for the first time on November 1st, 1512. The Strait of Magellan, or Straits of Magellan, were discovered and navigated by Ferdinand Magellan on November 1st, 1520, during his first recorded circumnavigation voyage. On November 1st, 1604, William Shakespeare's tragedy Othello was performed for the first time. And on November 1st, 1611, Shakespeare's play The Tempest was performed for the first time. Both of these took place at Whitehall Palace in London. The British Parliament enacted the Stamp Act on the 13 colonies on November 1st, 1765. They wanted to raise money to help pay for British military operations in North America. And kind of how that was supposed to work was that they were going to require printed materials to be printed on special paper that was produced in London and would carry an embossed revenue stamp. They intended this tax to be paid for any printed materials such as legal documents, magazines, playing cards, for crying out loud, newspapers, and other types of paper used throughout the colonies. That's kind of harsh. That's harsh enough, but these taxes had to be paid in British currency rather than colonial paper money, which made it even more difficult for the colonies to do that. And since the tax was presumably to pay for British military troops stationed in the American colonies, Americans suggested that if the British felt that troops needed to be there, then they should pay for that themselves. It doesn't take much imagination to figure out why the Stamp Act was very unpopular among the colonists. This is actually where the phrase "no taxation without representation" got started. On November 1st, 1800, John Adams, the second president of the United States, moved into the newly, I've got my words mixed up there. John Adams, the second president of the United States, moved into the newly completed President's House, which we now know today as the White House. Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Austria on November 1st, 1805. Little guy was going to conquer the world. This is the birthday of the 11th Dalai Lama, Gedrup Gyatso, born November 1st, 1838. Sadly, he died suddenly at the age of 17. Might be that being the Dalai Lama is not such an easy thing either. Let's see here. The Weather Bureau was later renamed the National Weather Service, but they made their first official meteorological forecast on November 1st, 1870. This is the birthday of American poet, novelist, and short story writer Stephen Crane, born November 1st, 1871. He started writing very early in life and had published several articles by the time he was 16. He wrote The Red Badge of Courage. Sadly, he died at the young age of 28 of tuberculosis. We've talked about tuberculosis before. It took a lot of people early. A picture showing the bare breasts of a woman appeared in the National Geographic magazine for the first time on November 1st, 1896. And I guess it's a related matter, so to speak. This is the birthday of Larry Flynt, born November 1st, 1942. He got his start running a bar, and he made enough money doing that to open 2 more bars. But the thing about bars was that people misbehave in those places. You know, they get drunk, they fight with each other, they spill stuff all over the place. And so he thought he might try opening a higher quality place, which I think translates to more expensive. Anyway, he decided to open a new bar called the Hustler Club, and he was going to have nude hostesses. In the early 70s, he then created a publication he called the Hustler Newsletter, which eventuated into the Hustler magazine. And he printed things that hadn't really been put on newsstands before, I don't think. But he made a lot of money at it. He netted enough to pay off his tax debt and buy a mansion. And he also faced obscenity charges for what he put in the Hustler magazine. Let's see, obscenity charges. Oh, yes, and in the late 70s, someone shot him. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, somehow he's managed to survive all that, and he turns 78 in 2020. November 1st, 1950, the United States tested, my research said, the world's first thermonuclear weapon. This was a hydrogen bomb that they tested on a little atoll in the Pacific Ocean. Can't go there anymore. This is the birthday of American singer, songwriter, and guitarist Lyle Lovett, born November 1st, 1957. Lovely, thoughtful fellow he seems like, makes nice music. He turns 63 in 2020. Presidential candidate John F. Kennedy announced an idea about the Peace Corps while he was campaigning on November 1st, 1960. This is the birthday of Tim Cook, born November 1st, 1960. Of course, he's the current CEO of Apple Incorporated. He turned 60 in 2020. The Motion Picture Association of America's film rating system was officially introduced on November 1st, 1968. This was the system that gave us the ratings of G, M, R, and X. And of course, other ratings have been added since then, but that was the introduction. Those were the first ones. And on November 1st, oh, what year was that? Okay. Well, in November 1st of some year, Honda became the first Asian automobile company to produce cars in the United States when they opened their factory in Marysville, Ohio. A Honda Accord was the first car produced there. The first Honda I ever got was made in Marysville, and I wanna personally say thank you to Honda for making cars in America and for making such good ones that are well thought out and fun to drive. Anyway, that is all I have for today. It's a little sketchy. I can't believe I forgot that I can't do lives on Safari. I have to open up the Google one, whatever that is, with the bright colors. Anyway, I guess I'm a little rattled because it didn't start out the way I meant it to. Anyway, I hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. Remember that links to my research are in the show notes, along with a link to the This Day in History playlist. And I'll also put a link to that up in the corner there. And I guess that's about it. That's all I can think of right now. Thank you so much for coming along on this wild ride with me. November 3rd, going to be a Thanksgiving in a minute. Anyway, I think that's about all for now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Now we look for the thank you very much button, and it says, "Are you sure?" And I say, "Yep."